In my previous lecture on surviving a narcissistic relationship or breakup phase with a teenage fire sign, I didn't go over the distinction between moodiness and abuse because that presentation was providing very specific solutions to the whole range of difficult behaviors that narcissists have, from emotionalism to abusiveness. In this lesson, however, I thought I would include the discernment steps so that it's more clear to empaths what they're dealing with when they're faced with a difficult person in any kind of relationship. Because it's very common for teenagers and youth to take things the wrong way or exaggerate what they're perceiving during conflicts. Dealing with difficult people. Distinguishing moodiness from abuse in relationships. Grumpy temperament and moodiness. Involuntary reactions. There is the habit of reacting out of annoyance or anger because they lack self-control. Their reactions are not intended to harm. They don't make attacks such as insults or shouts. Their most aggressive reactions are very seldom and not regular enough to be considered a serious problem. Mild criticism. They criticize on occasion, but it's mostly out of annoyance and not for pleasure or to cause reactions in others. Rude remarks and mischief. What is the meaning of an insult or sarcasm? A. The person is simply annoyed and feeling the urge to react. B. The person is deliberately trying to harm you and get a reaction out of you. We must keep our observations in perspective. In the heat of the moment, a cruel, sarcastic remark with a penetrating tone of voice is indeed abusive, but one or two acute hits of attitude in the span of many months or a year is very mild narcissism. Whether or not you want to forgive them is up to you. Dealing with difficult people. Abuse, bullying, narcissism, attacks such as insults and shouting are ongoing about once a week or more frequently and are made to harm or provoke reactions out of others. Attacks may even be physical. Criticism and mind games. Criticism is given to make others feel inferior. Criticism is spoken behind the grapevine, and gossip is spread with the intention of harming others. Covert mind games such as trickery, lying, deceit, and manipulation are also played for the narcissist's own pleasure in harming others. Dealing with difficult people, how to speak out, finding your voice. Rigid mind. Finding yourself struggling to speak up and voice your truth. Maybe you're a perfectionist with rigid mind. Rigid mind is simply the tendency toward perfectionism, organization, and critical thinking in one's thought patterns and speech. It makes sense that someone who is always trying to articulate themselves with the most perfect tone of voice, pronunciation, synonyms, grammar, and labels for things, prioritization, i.e., feeling stuffed with words and struggling to strip it all down. Critical thinking, for example, what if it starts an argument, they won't believe me, can have tremendous difficulty speaking up. Combine this with a history of being less social than a lot of people, and you've got quite the habit of reticence being underspoken to conquer. Finding your voice. Push yourself and keep it simple. The solution to reticence is quite simple, but perhaps a little challenging at first. Balancing out one's speech really means just that. Speaking more and loosening up on the above listed limitations. If you found yourself frustrated enough by your own silence, you will make a habit of pushing yourself to speak up, even when your voice doesn't sound right and people don't believe you. It's worth it. How to speak out, communicating upset, emphasis words, very, extremely, incredibly, enormously, terribly, painfully, unimaginably, excruciatingly. Feelings: overwhelmed, astonished, confused, frustrated, angry, infuriated, losing my mind. Their attitude and tone of voice is absurd, unbelievable, cruel, aggressive, horrible, penetrating, blew up in my face, violent. Speaking your mind. Is that you? Are you really that bad? I had no idea you could be so aggressive, rude. You act like two different people sometimes. I'm confused and overwhelmed. I never seen anything like this. I can't believe how polarizing you are. I can barely keep up with you. You think I'm used to this behavior. I am not used to this. I thought you and I were done his fiasco. Are you still being rude to me? There's no fiasco. They're always like that. You were just too slow to notice their latent dark side. How do you say these things to people? I really don't understand how you can say stuff like this. They are a severely annoyed person. Do you not feel remorse when you say things like that to people? Do you not have any concern for your relationships? In the heat of the moment, no. Fiery, angry people don't feel remorse until they've cooled off. Speaking your mind. I cannot emphasize how frustrated I am, hard it is for me to keep up with you. Either find a means of keeping up with this person verbally or tell them that you can't tolerate their attitude anymore and walk away. Now, what do you want me to do with you? I'm supposed to be friends with you. You treat me like crap. Speaking out. What is this? What was that? In response to a reaction or attack. Why do you say things like this? Why did you say that to me? Your tone of voice is cruel and malicious. You don't criticize your partners behind their backs. It's just not something you do. Why did you say whatever they said the other day? What is your motive? This thing between you and I has to stop. You treat me like crap. Yeah, you're very cruel to me. Your behavior is borderline abusive. I'm not taking this crap or verbal abuse anymore. Is that how you speak to your friends? You do not speak to your friends like this. You shouldn't speak so aggressively to people. Just the other day I said something and you blew up in my face. Why did you do that? I will not speak to you, be your friend, if you keep throwing your attitude in my face. Keep in mind that an angry person is an angry person. That's their temperament, so they're not likely to change much. They may try to do better, but some people really lack self-control. You can't control other people's behavior easily. Let the person be and deal with them as best as you can. Life is a balance between holding on and letting go. You can't always make a verbal comeback to every single thing a difficult person says to you. Don't sweat the small stuff. Of course, none of us appreciate a really aggressive reaction or a bad tone of voice, but reactions aren't as severe as deliberate attacks. For little harsh tones of voice and such, you don't always have to mouth the person back. Ignoring them is just fine. That's called using gray rock with the person. No need to feel belittled by them. Final solutions. If you're able to leave the situation, then speak out against the person to get your emotions off your chest. Then walk away. Trust me, if you just leave them without complaining, you may end up holding on to a lot of baggage. If you're stuck having to deal with the person for a period of time, accept the situation fully and find your means of managing them. For example, gray rock, 70-30 system, etc. All else is insanity. You had your chance to communicate and express yourself, so don't grudge. You signed up to be around this person. Try to harness compassion for them. Why remain angry at someone who is suffering profoundly? It's up to you. Were they really that bad? Yes, some people are surprisingly difficult and ruthless. Maybe you weren't paying close enough attention when you two were together. In any case, try not to overthink what people say and do, and try not to think so much about their opinion of you. Sometimes we're taking our character and reputation too seriously when we become insecure and concerned about what someone thinks of us. In your own words, tell them, no, it's wrong. Once or twice is enough. Just speak your mind. Anything's better than nothing. It doesn't have to be perfect, but try to keep it short, concise, and to the point. If you're insecure about the sound of your voice, then just lower your pitch a little. Who cares about synonyms and pronunciation? The way you deal with a difficult person is up to you. There's no sense in doubting yourself, whether you choose to be passive, gray rock, fair but firm, or angry and domineering. The key is to just own it 100%.